So now we're going to get into our job searching strategies. So the learning outcomes of this thing is to explain what employer resources are out there, and again, like how to employees find different employers and basically how to use them, some of the best tips and practices in order to search for jobs and how to make things easier, and also how to understand specifically the job search and how to understand what's actually needed to apply, as well as interview. So these are the 7 best tips in order to pretty much get started in the job searching, but then actually how to get your foot in the door into an interview and afterwards as well. So the first tip is actually to clarify your job search. What kind of job are you looking for, and why do you actually want to go to it? So there's 2 types of jobs people are traditionally looking for. Is either one, a survival job. Survival jobs are always going to be the jobs you're looking for to get into, just to pay the rent, pay the bills, or to transport from you going to one place to another. Main ways to get from school to home, or home to school. So those are, at the most part, are the waitress, the cashier jobs, the retail jobs, those particular kind of things. Versus the entry-level jobs are the jobs you're looking to specifically get in based on your major. As you think about what jobs to get into based on your major, the main thing we always are asking students as we're going through these appointments is, what are you actually interested in? So as you're trying to figure out what job to get into that's really associated with the entry level, what you're looking to get into, knowing what you actually want to do, either with your major or not with your major at all, is going to be important. Because if we as career counselors are asking you, what are you interested in doing, having a list of certain, career, like job postings, or, companies you want to work for, things you're looking to do, is going to be helpful for us to help you in this process as well. So some of the places to specifically look for some of these jobs is ONET. And again, I'm going over in detail specifically in ONET as we're going through the job searching part of the actual presentation. But ONET provides you an opportunity to basically look and explore different opportunities, either 1 based on keywords, or 2 based on industry or certain companies, or based on your levels of what you're trying to do, whether work experience, work style, remote versus hybrid, in person, whatever you're trying to specifically look and do. But then also based on your education, salary, again, that you're trying to make it. But then also keep in mind, be realistic with yourself, and also be realistic in regards to what is actually out there and what you're actually looking to do, and do you actually have the skill set of what they're actually looking for. Nearly 70%, if not more, of all the jobs found are literally found through networking. And networking may sound intimidating, but also keep in mind that networking is literally what we did from grade school to even right now in our classes. So literally being that first day of class, of introducing yourself, of like, hi, my name is Joseph, I like, Spider-Man cartoons, things of that nature, like that is essentially is networking. It is the same concept that we do today to navigate and find jobs. And it's one, introducing ourselves to let people know exactly who we are, and what we're majoring in, and what we're doing, and what we're interested in. And again, it may sound like a very intimidating thing to do, but again, something we've been doing for a long period of time already. So as you develop, your networking kind of parameters, what you're actually looking for, pretty much it starts, 1, the center of you, and these different areas of pretty much your networking. First is friends and family. So again, you always are surprised with sometimes who your friends and family may know, a connection, a mentor, someone who you may come in contact with. Your actual state community, many of which your professors, people who work here on campus. And then the final parameter that's in red is the question mark area, because it's the question mark area because you just don't know who else is out there that you may be able to connect with, that you may be able to help you out. And again, you just never know by going to some time of these workshops, these events, these social gatherings, specifically here on campus, who you're going to meet and network. I kid you not, how I got the job working here in CSLD was actually through networking. But literally, I showed up to an event hosted by Career Services and Leadership Development. The former director was giving a presentation. He gave me his business card. I followed with him via email. And then from that conversation briefly with him, he offered me a job. So things like that really do happen and really do exist. But again, you have to put yourself out there and make sure that people are aware of who you are and what skill sets you're actually bringing to the table, and how they're going to make the actual company better itself. Next is to expand your network, and expanding your network, it's a large range of things. And again, it's one to really only work with people that you know because that's who you feel comfortable on. But sometimes you have to put yourself out there and kind of like network with individuals that you either may or may not know, and kind of just see, what else is out there. So the kind of start of pretty much, expanding your network is one, just talk to, again, one fellow students you may know in your classrooms, your professors, but then start to create, and maintain, connections via LinkedIn. Again, if you do not have a LinkedIn, that's perfectly fine. But again, LinkedIn is, again, one of the major networking sites as well, how people connect with individuals as well as other resources as well. So just keep in mind of that. We do have our platform, Gator Connect. Gator Connect is our mentoring platform, specifically with SF State alumni specifically. So again, people who you're coming across with specifically on that platform are SF State alumni who are in different industry fields and are able to really connect you with different places, or do want to actually help SF State current students as well as alumni. 10 industry professional events. And again, we live in the Bay Area, specifically San Francisco. So there's a whole host of different workshops and events that come up on any time, shape, or another. So again, you'd be surprised some events that people are either hosting one via Eventbrite or different other opportunities as well. So again, if you are going down a particular industry, just look and see, what professional associations or organizations are doing events based on, your field and what you are looking to get into. Recommendation, don't have to do this, but again, to join student groups and organizations, specifically professional organizations, because again, that is your best way to network with people who are actually in the field itself, to basically market yourself a little bit more. And finally, to talk to people, anyone, everyone. So again, there's always someone out there who may know someone that you may be connected to. So do not limit your resources at the people who you just know, specifically within your friends and family circle. Two is expand it even past your SFSU community and to see what else is out there. Next is to building your personal brand, specifically online. So we live in the age of social media, and oftentimes people just think that because their account is private, that people aren't able to, see what they did and everything like that. But do not believe that, because it only takes someone a quick second to take a screenshot who actually is a part of your account and post it somewhere else. So keep in mind that employers now, especially nowadays, are looking at your social media accounts to actually see what is actually out there. So just keep in mind of what is actually out there in regards to who you are, so that way you're not like thrown off guard if something does come up. So personal branding is a process of which you are marketing yourself out there to individuals. So again, that goes as far as everything from your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn account, your handshake account, your social media accounts, your appearance of how you're carrying yourself. It's everything and above, because again, like there's so many avenues nowadays that people are branding themselves in so many different ways. So again, keeping in mind of what is actually out there that represents you is going to be important. What are you hoping to communicate with people? Again, via your LinkedIn, your handshake, your social media accounts. And again, what is the persona that you're looking to portray as you're out there? And again, how does your appearance look specifically on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok? Again, our social media platforms have allowed us to do basically things that we do in our spare time, our private life, and things of that nature, which I completely understand. However, the same sense is, employers are looking at this as a way to kind of like look and see exactly who you are outside of work. And again, are you going to be a good reflection specifically of the company itself? So again, keeping that in mind as you are applying to jobs, because the companies are looking at your actual social media accounts. Next thing to mention is to Google yourself. And keep in mind that when you Google yourself, you sometimes be surprised of what comes up, because I have such a very, very, very common name that the only times when I Google my own self, oftentimes a picture of myself won't even come up unless I'm adding in extra things to it. So Google yourself and see what comes up, and see if your social media accounts are going to come up, if your LinkedIn is going to come up, if an article that you were mentioning or something else is going to come up. So again, you just do not want to be thrown off guard of what actually comes up in regards to, how people are going to, see you online. building your brand. So again, for people who are in the more entertainment route, so such as either radio, cinema, Becca, me, and like broadcasting, having your own online professional portfolio is, crucial to one, you sometimes getting a job. So again, what does your online portfolio look like? Are people who are in photography? So again, that's all important. So again, how you're branding yourself out there in regards to creating your own website. And again, is your website going to be the best way to put yourself forward in regards to companies actually looking at the content you actually have out there? And it's always, important to specifically know exactly what skills and abilities people are looking for. And again, like what skills and abilities that you actually have out there. And again, what images are you presenting to the job market that you're actually applying to? Because again, that's important. Because again, like I keep mentioning, I'm going to keep saying it multiple times of, again, how you present yourself out there online is going to be important. Diversifying specifically your job searching. So as you are going through a variety of different ways to job search, the one thing you don't want to do is limit yourself. So for example, if you were specifically looking for, say, like a new jacket to buy, but you only had X amount of money to spend, you're not going to be, looking at one particular store if you know it was expensive. You're going to be looking at various different outlets of it too. Same thing with, with applying to jobs. You're not going to just look at Handshake. You're not just going to look at LinkedIn or Indeed. You're going to look at you need to look at everything possible, because you just don't know what one search engine may have versus another one. So here's are just some of the different ways to start looking for different job opportunities. So again, there's Handshake, which I'm going to go over in detail how to actually look at it. The career fairs, CSOD has our career fair, our virtual career and internship fair, specifically hosted this Friday from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. Specifically via Handshake. And again, it's already open for you to RSVP for it, as well as I think the list is currently right now being provided to let students know exactly what employers are going to be there. But then if you are an engineering type student, so within the College of Science and Engineering, the Computer Engineering Association, specifically the clubs and organizations, are actually hosting their own in-person fair at the Annex on the 28th. And I can't remember the actual date and time right now, but I will also email everyone once we're done today that information as well. So if you do want to attend, that is an opportunity for you. Employer info session. So again, we have the one coming up this Friday for the employer table talk. We have the one the following week with Google. That's also going to be via Zoom. Online search engines, like we're going to go to right now in a minute, of Indeed, LinkedIn, and some other ones. LinkedIn, direct contact with employers. So again, if there's a certain company you're looking to get into, sometimes it's okay to directly contact the company or directly the employer that you're actually looking to work with, because again, they may be able to provide you 2 resources to actually apply for those jobs. Company career pages, again, like companies will often have their own websites. So again, they'll have normally a career page or a job posting page. So again, looking to see the particular company you're looking to go into, what actual resources they have in regards to employment opportunities or internship opportunities, so that way what's out there. Professional associations, again, outside of SF State, even within that SF State, there are professional associations that literally pride themselves on networking with individuals, but then also connect the individuals to opportunities such as job and resources. If you're looking to specifically work for the government, because I know that the election is around the corner, but then also there's different government and like federal jobs, usjobs.gov is a great resources. And again, finally, our CSOD resources, which we have that we're always sending students of upcoming workshops and events, and then job postings as well. So next thing we actually, before we go into actually how to apply, I'm going to stop sharing this one and actually go into specifically some of the job searching aspects of it. So we're first going to begin with Handshake, because Handshake is what we all use. So Handshake, again, is our primary resource to kind of help students with navigating through different jobs, workshops, or events. So if you're in specifically Handshake and you're looking specifically for jobs, you would go to jobs. And again, you see the list of posting and jobs based on, again, your work experience or what you're actually looking to achieve and do. But again, keep in mind with Handshake, it's like most platforms nowadays. So again, if you're looking at something on Instagram, or better example, if you're looking to buy something, say on Amazon or Target, and then you see a notification on your basic Facebook or Instagram account specifically for that. Handshake works the same way, is that the information that you have on Handshake allows the system to pull that information and actually send you job postings based on that information. So if you're looking specifically for a job, it's better to have as much information on Handshake as possible for to send you job postings based on the information that it has on there. And the one thing about it is that even though, say, you and your friend may share the exact same major, your job experiences and information is going to be completely different. So it may send you different postings based on that information. And the one thing about Handshake is that it's not just a local platform in which, specifically the United States, but it actually is globally. So say you work in like study abroad in a different country, you should be able to look and see if that country you're going to actually has any kind of internship or job opportunities out there. So that way, when you do basically go to that country, you're able to maybe get a job or internship while you're there. So you can search one by location, or if you even are not even from this part of California, we're looking for specifically Los Angeles or a different part, you can look that way. The ability to look either for a full-time or part-time job or internship or on-campus job. The one thing I'm going to tell you about Handshake, specifically as you're looking for these jobs, is to not push two of the same buttons in the wall at the same time. So do not push, say you're looking for on-campus job as well as internship, for example. It's going to mesh all the postings together and say there's more internship opportunities out there than there is on-campus jobs. So again, it's going to be a little bit harder to navigate and do and see what is actually out there. So it's better, again, if you're specifically looking for both, to look at one at a time. And then again, once you find a job that you're particularly looking for, you actually are able to actually save the posting and kind of come back to it later to look through all the requirements and what they're actually looking for, and basically follow out the application process and see what that required material are specifically for the actual job posting. And then the next platform I'm going to go through and show you is actually ONET. So with ONET, the same kind of thing. Again, you can do civic occupation keywords right here, looking based on industry, or you can look on find an occupation based on certain clusters, based on advancement opportunities, based on abilities. So again, based on abilities, interests, knowledge, skills, work style or your work values, based on you are in the military, education level, different occupational handbooks to kind of help you through navigating different resources. Again, if you were in the military, it provides you the opportunity to look for resources that way as well. And again, like as you're looking for jobs, it's not a one-time thing, meaning what you don't just look at a couple of things and you find what you're looking for and you're done. Like you need to really cultivate a list of what companies you're looking to apply to, what jobs you're looking to get into, what are the job titles, what are they expecting of you, what is the education level they actually need, because that's all going to be a determining factor of how you apply and why you apply. The next thing I'm going to show you is LinkedIn. And again, we just briefly went over a LinkedIn workshop earlier this semester, but we're going to be doing another one later on this semester, hosted by my colleague Sandra, to kind of go over other best practices specifically around LinkedIn in regards to networking. So this also might be helpful as well. So as you're looking specifically for jobs, again, if you're on the main platform of LinkedIn, once you create it, you're literally able to go into the folder that says jobs. And then from there, you actually are able to search for jobs based on different criteria and based on city, location. So just going to type in counselor, make things easier. So again, right now it's located specifically of California, United States. But again, recently I've had a lot of students coming to me in a variety of different means, asking for certain types of jobs based on their mobility and what they're looking to do. So again, if you're looking for specific job types, you can go full-time, part-time, contract, temporary, volunteer, internships, or others. And then again, once you click on one of them, for example, internships, it shows you exactly what's going to pop up on your listing based on the actual job posting you're looking at. Now, next thing you can actually do is look at some of the requirements of what they're looking for. So whether it be on-site, remote, or hybrid. On-site meaning which you actually physically have to go in person, versus remote is you're working primarily from home. You're not needing to go in person unless it's primarily for a certain reason. And then hybrid, there is a duality of going in person and also be remote. So just keep in mind of those different varieties of it. And then again, there's other factors in regards to fillers you can look for in regards to what you're looking for. And then certain companies you're looking to get into, whether it be government, education, and then educational level of breaking down exactly based on your educational level, what is actually there and what's available for you as well. And then the final one I'm going to go over is Indeed. So again, Indeed, is another platform to actually look at. And again, in regards to keywords, locations, and again, you are also able to filter out and look at different keywords. So again, looking for remote, specifically in San Francisco, and just look and see what comes up. These are some of the postings. And again, sometimes they'll have remote specifically in the header of the job posting, and sometimes it will not. Sometimes you actually got to look at and see a little bit more of what they're actually specifically looking for. So we're going to go next back to the PowerPoint. So next is to know how to apply. So once you have locked down and figured out what companies you're applying to, it's now knowing what they are actually requiring in regards to applying for these specific jobs. So as you're looking to specifically see, what they're applying for is, one, how to fill out the application. Some applications will be physically online on, a certain search engine, and sometimes it'll be of a company's actual website, or sometimes it'll be even doing both things on a company's website as well as a physical copy of paperwork you need to fill out as well. But you want to make sure that you create and tailor your resume, cover letter, specifically for the jobs or internships you're applying to. And then you also want to make sure that you're formatting the documents they need based on what you do, based on like what they're requiring. So most of the time, companies are requiring you to turn in a document based on a PDF format. Traditionally, they're not asking for a Word format, but know the difference of the two, and then also know how to actually convert your document specifically to actual PDF. I know sometimes people are using Microsoft Word. For us Mac users, we're using Pages sometimes, so there's knowing how to convert your Pages document specifically to a PDF, or if you're using Google Docs, know how to do that as well, of converting your Word document on Google Docs to a PDF. Make sure that you are applying through the designated method. So again, make sure that you are following all of their instructions in regards to what they're asking for to apply. Save your resume and cover letter based on the actual job. And again, that's a whole different workshop in regards to resume and cover letters, but make sure that, again, when you're applying to these jobs, specifically for your resume and cover letter, that they're designated specifically for the job. I can't tell you how many times students have applied to work specifically in our office and have just had a generic cover letter that they use for everything, or they have given us the wrong cover letter for a whole different position on campus. So you always want to make sure that you look at all your materials before you actually submit them. But then before you submit anything to any company, it's always to ask yourself these, is a cover letter actually needed specifically for your the job that you're applying to? Do you have a professional voice message either in your email or on your phone? Again, I'm from a generation where we had music as like the background of our phone voicemail. So again, if someone's calling you, what is the message you're going to send? They're going to actually hear, like, is it in a professional manner? Is it quick, generic, to the point? And it's fine to leave the generic one the phone comes with, but we just recommend that you actually taking the time to actually craft a professional like voice message. And then also to check your voicemail and email regularly. So again, once you have already actually gone and applied to these jobs, check your information specifically on your voicemail, your email, especially your junk mail of your email, because sometimes if your email isn't used to getting an email from a particular place, it may go automatically to your junk mail. So just make sure that you're checking every avenue as you're applying to these jobs and make sure you're receiving everything. And then also to follow up with them if you have not heard anything. So oftentimes students will apply to jobs and wonder why they haven't heard back within, 2 weeks or a month. And it's perfectly fine to reach out to them and apply them. One, to make sure that they actually got all your materials, and two, to see where they're at with the actual application process. Again, interviewing sometime or finding the right candidates for a time can take anywhere between a couple of weeks to about a month or two. So again, you just always want to follow up to make sure if they still have your materials and they're moving forward, or they're gonna basically move in like a whole different direction. Tip 6 is really to stay organized. So keep all your records together in regards to your job searching. So as you are putting together all your materials, make sure that you're keeping detailed either folders on your Google Drive or your laptop or wherever you're going to house everything, to make sure that, it's just very specific for each job and you're not applying to different jobs with the wrong information. So how to stay organized is really to, one, include, the previous job titles, specifically in regards to the resume, but then also like what you're actually looking to get into as far as like job titles that you're looking to apply to. The completed application. So again, if it's an online application, did you mark somewhere that you actually completed it? And these are the final materials you need to submit, such as, your resume, cover letter, any other additional things. Former supervisor's information, and we'll get to that as we're talking about the like letters of recommendation. And then the salary, again, each company will have a different either pay range in regards to, especially salary. Salary is pretty much how much you get paid over the term of a year. So normally a salary is making anywhere between, depending on the job, between $30K to over $100K per year. Again, based on your range, based on your work set and skill set and abilities, what is your range of applying specifically to this job? Because sometimes different positions will actually have a range. So for example, of some education jobs will have a range of working from 55K to 70K. So again, based on your years of experience, based on the educational level, what is your range of your sweet spot that you're looking to go into based on the company? And again, sometimes it's out of that comes into the more negotiation stage, which is in like a different workshop, but just keep in mind, like, what is your range as you're applying to certain jobs? Next is having your materials together. So again, having a master specific resume and the most current resume of the jobs you actually are applying to, a master and current cover letter of the ones you're applying to, clearly label them. So again, if you are applying to multiple jobs, label again each resume of like this company, like resume for this particular job description, this particular job company, or just a best way that that you're going to memorize exactly which company for which resume and which for which cover letter. And then next is the other documentation. So sometimes, depending on the company and where you're applying to, they may ask for transcripts, certifications, and like letters of recommendation. That's why it comes into play of remembering your former supervisor's information. So again, if there's a supervisor that that you work well with and they would highly recommend you for the job, having a list of people who you can refer to of either one of those like letters of recommendation or the reference list that's going to come about, because as you're sometimes filling out the application, they'll ask you to include anywhere between two to three people who can actually reference and vouch for your character, your performance, and actually who you are. And then finally is a diversity statement. So again, this has normally been the case of most companies nowadays because of diversity, inclusion, and equity. So again, they're normally asking you to create normally anywhere between a paragraph or two to a page of a diversity statement of your commitment specifically to diversity, either one specifically for the company or to the population that you're actually dealing with. And then finally, the final step is to be prepared for the interview. So to be prepared for the interview is one, to respond as soon as they email you, phone call you, respond within 24 hours. Do not take a couple days to respond. Do not try to weigh out everything. Again, if you're still trying to figure out what date that works for them, at least call them back and let them know, or email them back and let them know, like, you're trying to figure out your schedule based on these parameters, and you will get back to them as soon as possible. But if they don't hear from you in 48 hours, they may think that you may still not be interested in the job. So try to reply back as soon as possible. Next is having the appropriate professional attire. This could be a variety of ranges of things. Again, I'm not going to say to go in there in a excuse me, in a particular way, but at the same sense as dressing specifically for the actual job interview. So knowing exactly how the people are dressing the company by looking at the company's website, looking to get a little bit more information about like how the company is presenting themselves. But also my go-to is always going to be to dress in at least either business casual or business attire based on the actual job interview. That's my recommendation. But again, my recommendation is also to do a little bit of due diligence and kind of ask the company in regards to, you know, one, their culture and everything like that as you're moving forward, but then also just to kind of look and see, you know, either based on the company's website or just, you know, best practices regarding attire. Study the actual job description and research the organization. So the one thing you don't want to do is go in there unaware of that as actually what the company does and all the resources, because sometimes companies have a laundry list of resources and opportunities and things that they do. So knowing everything there is important, because again, there may be a certain area of the company you want to work in. So knowing all the information regarding that area is going to be important. If possible, look up the actual like interviewer on LinkedIn or try to find exactly who they are, just so you can learn more information about who they are. And my recommendation specifically for this one, because it happened in a job interview recently with someone, is that you make sure that you found the right person, because again, like I said earlier about Googling yourself, sometimes people have very, very common names, and make sure that, again, if you're looking up someone on LinkedIn, that the company that they're actually attached to matches actually the person who you actually are being interviewed with. Again, just double checking everything before you go in there and say, oh, I saw that you studied at this school, but that's actually the wrong person who you actually found on LinkedIn. So again, just make sure that you have all the correct information. And then finally, is just when you go in there for the interview, sometimes it'd be an individual interview of just one-on-one. Sometimes it'd be a panel of multiple people, or sometimes it'd be a group of people as well. So, you know, just make sure that you're prepared for different aspects of the job interviewing process, because it may come at you in a variety of different ways. Interview, as you're going through the interview, just know, again, you know yourself, you know what you've done, your skills and abilities. And again, so this is your best way to sell yourself specifically to the company. So knowing your strengths, your challenges, your weaknesses, that's going to be important. And again, you know, sometimes we do not like to talk about our own personal weaknesses, but again, like how you actually can leverage weakness into a strength, or something of a, you know, missed and bad opportunity at work to something that you actually were able to learn from and make, you know, better decisions, is actually going to be helpful for you in your overall, you know, the way you present yourself. And again, companies, as you're being interviewed, they like stories. They like hearing exactly more about who you are to see, you know, if you're a right fit for the company. Preparing, you know, interview questions specifically for the company itself, like knowing, you know, what is required of them based on, you know, the pandemic right now of COVID-19 requirements, or what is required of them in regards to either being in person or remote, or, you know, attire, you know, all that information is important. Knowing exactly like what is the company's culture, like what is their commitment to certain demographics of people, like knowing all that information, you know, is important as you're developing some of your interview questions. And then the next one is to arrive anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes early prior to the interview. And this includes if you are being interviewed via Zoom. So sometimes people are being interviewed right now via Zoom. And again, the recommendation is to apply to show up as early as possible, because again, you just want to make sure that you, one, testing your networking issues. There's not any issues regarding, you know, your the images or just being able to receive anyone. And then also you just want to test your like network connection. But then also finally make sure that if you are going to meet via Zoom, either do one or two things. Either one, be in a enclosed area that allows you the opportunity to be in an area that's not too noisy, too loud, or if you are in an area that we can't really do all that, to basically have like a virtual background on that's at least a professional virtual background, just so it's not like too distracting. But then also the same sense is that, you know, if you are in a place that, you know, you don't feel comfortable like showing your background, there's also ways of just blurring out your background via Zoom as well. So just make sure that you're aware of this, all different avenues, and you test out everything before you actually are going into the interview. Next is just following up. So again, either send an email or a note specifically to the company, and then to let them know, like, thank you for the time to actually interview. And then to pretty much prepare for a second interview that may come as well. And as we're closing out, really just some final thoughts. One, to be organized, self-motivated, and assertive. And again, this is self-motivated that I think is the most important, because again, it's not one of those things that someone can just guide you through step by step all the time. So again, like being self-motivated and assertive and well organized and actually pursuing what you want to go into is going to be important in this. Job searching requires time and energy. So again, this is not a one-time thing, a one-time process. It's a never-ending process that does not end unless you're in a company that you don't plan on going to or moving to, or like getting out of the rest of your life. So it's one of those things where most people, especially nowadays, will literally change jobs at least 3 or 4 times within their career. So again, knowing how to navigate through the job searching process is going to be important. Do not be discouraged if it takes longer than what you expect. It is not as simple as you apply to a couple jobs and you get in. It is, I wish it worked that way, but it does not. Sometimes it involves you applying to half a dozen jobs, or 20 or 30 jobs or more before you actually get the one that actually works specifically for you. So I don't want you to be discouraged about it. I don't want you to be upset. Again, you're probably fine to be upset, but again, this is a process that takes time and energy, and finding the best thing that works for you. And sometimes it's not in regards to your process, but it's some of your application materials that they're actually looking for, such as your resume and cover letter. So before you apply, look and see if your documents actually are what they're actually requiring, or like do like the skills and abilities that you're actually looking or actually have. Do they meet the qualifications specifically for the jobs? Continue to develop and use the different resources to diversify your search. So again, do not limit yourself by what you see in front of you. Again, the sky's the limit in regards to pretty much using every resource available to you to find what's out there. And again, CSOD has a host of different resources, but again, you have professors, you have classmates, you have student organizations, you have different industry professionals on Handshake who are having workshops not actually held here at SF State. So again, looking to see what's out there is going to be important to how you find different jobs out there. And then finally, these are our contact information and resources.